Using the Options module. Screen areas. On the top line is the usual selected strategic plan name and message area. There are 6 tabs, and to the right of these are buttons that allow you to unlock the screen, save changes, export the options data, zoom the screen fonts, and show pop-up help messages. Tab pages. The first page is for the names. You can redefine these standard terms or just change them to suit your own language. For example, some users prefer to rename objectives as goals. Also, the names of the third generation strategy map statements may not be suitable for your usage. Designing your objectives grid. The second tab is where you define the objective grid columns. The primary use for the objectives grid is to allocate a strategy map objective to an employee. Hence, the first column of the objectives grid is always the objective, and it is cascaded down from your strategic picture, and this is not visible as a selectable option. Next, you need to have a description of how this objective applies to an employee. This column is critical and is sometimes called a KPI for Key Performance Indicator, or a KRA for Key Responsibility Area or Key Result Area. Another commonly used name is Target. As this description must be measured, you need to have some kind of measurement, and this usually takes the form of a measurement method plus a score. Also, you can add in additional columns that aid your management and or cross-referencing. One of these might be review date column. Finally, you can also have a numeric feedback gauge. This can either be set manually or else averaged from a similar gauge in the initiatives grid. To this you can also apply a weighting value so that less important jobs are not averaged as highly. Setting up grid columns. The process for setting up the grid columns is as follows. Firstly, click on the checkboxes to select a combination of list-based and free text columns. Secondly, click in the grid to load the column name into the Edit panel, where you can set the name that you require. Lastly, position the columns left or right according to their status so that the cell merging provides the best horizontal one-to-many picture. There are special reasons why you would choose to either list-based or free text columns. Using list-based columns. These columns are favoured because they have 4 advantages. Firstly, they are fast to assign. You can set up a balanced scorecard in just a few minutes if you only have to pick from the lists. Secondly, they provide uniformity between employees, so you never have phrases that are slightly different but mean the same thing. Thirdly, they can be instantly cross-referenced in the Drill Down Dashboard module. Lastly, you can immediately and easily see how many employees have been assigned to any list item. Using free text columns. Free text is good when you want to enter in some text that will probably be unique. Furthermore, you may want to change it at any time without concern for anywhere else that it may be used. For example, the initiatives text is something that can be special to the one activity for a single person and may need to be changed at any future date. Free text columns can also be made into external document or website links. When you click on the display mode cell, the software launches the document or website. Numeric gauge or percent columns. These can be averaged from either the initiatives or monthly grids. They can have a number of alternative display formats such as bar graph, icon and percent value. If using the icon display, it is possible to have the actual numeric value hovering above the icon value. Initiatives grid columns. The third tab is where you set up the initiatives grid. It has additional column types such as date range and numeric columns. There are no numeric or date columns in the objectives grid because all this is intended to be carried out at the activity level. However, when using the single grid display mode, you have effectively moved these into the objectives grid. The picture can then be improved either by filtering out unwanted columns or else hiding them in the export to grid or chart facilities. Date range columns automatically specify a month count. So if you have a 30th of March to the 5th of April, the month count is 2, even though the day count is only 7. There are two ways of displaying the date range text, either date 1 - date 2 or date 1 with the number of days in brackets. Monthly grids. The use of the date range and monthly grids is covered under a different video tutorial, and the basic information is as follows. There are two types of monthly grids that can be used if you have enabled the date range column. Firstly, the Gantt or progress grid is a multi-function grid which can hold text, numeric or gauge information in an actual versus planned format. The setup can be different for every initiative row to suit each usage. Secondly, the numeric or finance grid can only contain arithmetic values, for the benefit that the monthly grid row totals can be displayed as cells back in the initiatives grid. The setup is the same for every row and is done here. It is traditional to always have the initiatives in the first column of the initiatives grid, and this is usually a free text style column. When the grid is clicked on, ownership of the monthly grids must come from a cell in the clicked row of the initiatives grid. This is always taken from the first column. Schema tab. The schema is intended to demonstrate your strategic plan design. If you need to take a copy of this to print, press the Alt plus print screen key to copy the image into the Windows clipboard. Then go into Microsoft Word or some other software and paste in the image. Security tab. The password security will be provided as an optional extra when version 5 is released. Summary. The Options module performs a similar function to the Add New Strategic Plan wizard. However, changes can be made whenever this is required, plus the monthly grids can only be set up in this Options module. The system provides a wide variety of cell styles that can be added to enhance the balanced scorecard operation and management. Thank you for watching this video demonstration.